This is the fastest route to what you want in life. Now, a lot of people have dreams and aspirations, especially in today's day and age, with social media showing us what's possible, living a life of abundance, and it seems really good. And people are always trying to tell us how to get there, whether it be some online business, whatever the case may be. And I'm not saying that any of those ways are wrong, but it personally, for me, I found that it's not the vehicle to get to this life of abundance and create a life of fulfillment that's holding me back, but it's myself that's holding me back. So the vehicles always work. They work for all these people. And the reason it's not working when they're telling you how to do these things and you can't seem to get anywhere in life is because of you. And I'm going to tell you why that's a good thing in a second here. So the fastest route to what you want. If your life is full of negative things at the moment, and I'm assuming it is because otherwise you wouldn't be searching for a better way. You wouldn't be searching for how to get to this better life. So if your life is full of negative thoughts, emotions, whether it be fear, guilt, shame, anger, sadness, feelings of depression, anxiety, stress, mourning of a lost one, a job, working a 9 to 5 where you have no time freedom, you have no location freedom, or toxic relationships. If you have people you love, but you're in an abusive relationship, or there's toxicity happening that isn't what you truly want from life, your mind probably looks like this, and you're struggling to deal with it, and you're struggling to find a way through to the life that you want. So you really have two options here. And this is the concept of the red pill and the blue pill from the Matrix. And a lot of online gurus talk about the red pill. But today I'm going to go into depth about the real red pill, the one you can take that will actually transform your life. So the red pill and the blue pill is continuing your life on as you have been, struggling to make it through, but you can keep, staying in these relationships, keeping these negative thoughts and emotions, and ultimately your life will continue on as it is. So if you're fine with that, you can click off the video and go, scroll Instagram, whatever you want to do, or TikTok. But if you want to take the red pill, you have to have some sort of faith in order to take the red pill. So you don't have to have everything figured out, but as long as you have enough faith to say, okay, I'm going to open my mind and free it to a higher perspective, that's taking the red pill. Now everything is going to change. In my last video, I described how science proves that our physical reality is an illusion of sorts. It's not to say that there's no validity to what happens to us, but that there is no matter fundamentally. There are only waves of vibration or energy and a spacious field, a quantum field in which these waves manifest. So when they manifest to us, it seems as though there is a true physical reality that we can touch and feel, but our sense perceptions and our conception of time make these things feel as though this is all that there is. And I would suggest watching my last video because I go into depth about, the science behind this. But how does this make you feel if your perceptions are creating the reality around you? So to think that there's nothing, if you don't believe this, if you believe there's nothing beyond our physical existence anyways, how does that make you feel? It probably makes you feel bad or negative. And to think that there's nothing beyond this physical experience, it feels negative because it's not true. Ultimately, it probably makes you feel negative. This perspective is why your life feels so negative as well, because you have no access to the truth. The truth sets you free. So you feel a lack of freedom because you aren't in the awareness of the truth. So due to the nature of this life, we can only experience that which we're aware of. Your thoughts create your reality, etc. If you only pay attention to negative thoughts, news, content, negative experiences, you will maintain and continue co-creating this negative experience. Your neural pathways are negative. So your thoughts dwell on this, your emotions tell you this, and you sow seeds into the physical reality from this negative framework. This is the law of attraction. So you reap what you sow. The Bible talks about this. If your neural pathways are constantly focused on negative things, you will act in negative ways, and thus your reality around you will become negative. But the good news is that this means that life is flowing from our awareness. So our awareness allows us to choose the neural pathways that we want to flow down and that will cause us to sow seeds into reality through our actions and our thoughts. So there's good news here, but we have to change the way we're doing things. And how does this create a more positive reality for us? So in order to go about creating this more positive reality, we must address the negatives which have been plaguing us. We must heal ourselves by becoming more aware of the spatial awareness which we are, and give the negative thoughts, emotion, experiences, and so on this space. This spatial awareness or consciousness is the one, the eternal consciousness from which all things emanate. It is love. The reason distance makes the heart grow fonder is because the distance forces us to give space to that person or thing, and thus more love. If we have a tumultuous relationship with a family member and they pass away, we usually have love and forgiveness for them. Hopefully, and maybe you do feel spite still when they're gone. Maybe you're mad at them for what they did, but ultimately in the long run, the more space and distance that you have from that person, the more you are able to forgive and love them for who they truly were. So that space, we're forced into that space, but that's why we feel more love, because that space is love. So if we can give our negatives, the negative things in our life, space, we can love the negatives. And this ultimately in the hero's journey is seen as, the slaying of the dragon. So the dragon represents our negatives, and our slaying of them is our overcoming of them. But we overcome them by love, which is space. You don't have to, if love is hard for you to picture, just start by giving it space. So how does this help us? Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Matthew 12:34. So out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks and the body acts. And when we have space or love, our heart becomes full. This state of spaciousness puts our hearts and minds into coherence. Now, if you've read into or looked into Dr. Joe Dispenza at all, you'll understand that this state of mind-heart coherence can revolutionize your entire life. It'll make you much healthier. It provides so much people freedom and allows them to actually do the things that they're called to do in life. So this is the scale of consciousness, which again, this is from my last video, which I discussed how you move up that and how the higher states are higher vibration. And in there is flow and ultimate consciousness, so on and so forth. So we're experiencing this space, which is love. The heart becomes full. Our heart and mind are in coherence. In this state of coherence, this is the flow state. This is the I am. This is Christ consciousness. This is what Jesus was talking about when he said, I am the beginning and the end. Before Abraham was, I am. All of that, I'm obviously paraphrasing, but this is what he's referring to. This is how you can be freed from time, ultimately. In so doing, so in the flow state, here we find we are already free from the negatives. This is salvation, right? In so doing, the negatives are transformed into the positives. So this is called alchemy, taking a negative and turning it into a positive. And this is why so many successful people often credit their success to their darkest experiences, because they've alchemized them. That's the only way out of the negatives. Everybody has negatives. Everybody starts them. Everybody has sin, right? That's falling short or missing the mark, if you will. If we can, go back to the real definition of that word. But by taking those and realizing that and giving them space, we can understand and learn what they're trying to teach us. And they'll give us wisdom, which by alchemizing, which is what I say here, they crystallize, giving us a valuable gem through a lesson or a gift of wisdom and or love. This is sanctification, and this is how all things are made right in the world. This is how God brings justice to the world. And I referenced the slaying of the dragon over here. Dragons hoard gold. So Jordan Peterson talks about this a lot. This is the hero's journey, right? When you slay the dragons in your life, the negatives, the gold is the alchemization of taking those negatives and turning them into positives. This is why the archetype of the dragons hoarding the gold is so true in our reality. That's why it's an archetype, because when we slay the dragons, all this gold is waiting for us. So the spacious state of flow provides us clarity, because now we have space in our mind. It's not cluttered with all these negative thoughts, all this just cancerous thoughts happening over and over again. Even if it seems harmless, if there's just this constant monologue or a dialogue in your head going on, you have no clarity. And that's why you can't pursue and create in the way that you want to create. That's why you're struggling to feel inspired to chase your passions, because you have no clarity. Remember the picture earlier of the chaotic mind we find ourselves in when there's so many negatives. There's all this clutter. So in order to, I'm spoiling things, in order to, by getting into the spacious state, we clear our minds of all this clutter, right? We become still and silent. This is the flow state. This is how we get into flow. And from the flow state is the flow of abundance. That's why getting into the flow state makes you so much more productive. That's why getting into the flow state, you receive ideas for businesses or ideas for your business to become more successful, and things that will ultimately create abundance within that business. So once things become clear, the path guides us. Again, flow state. So when you have the highest perspective, would you not reach your highest potential? Would you not be doing exactly what you're meant to be doing? If you could truly have the highest perspective for your life, and you knew all of the things, or if you had true clarity, and you were in the flow state, the highest perspective, right? You had the highest perspective on everything that happened to you. Would not everything that happened to you cause you to reach your highest potential if you had the highest perspective on it? That's why the flow state, this is the flow state, being spacious and aware. That's why the flow state is the flow of abundance, because so many things are able to be seen in a more clear way, and the path guides us from there. So things just will come into your consciousness. Like I said, ideas for your business, how, the space for the relationships, your mind is spacious. So the love will transform everything, and the path will guide you there. So when something negative happens in your relationship, and you get back to the state of clarity, the path becomes clear. You can see the person, if they're yelling at you or angry with you, you can see truly through love what that person is ultimately trying to do, what is ultimately happening in true reality. And you can apologize to that person, or you can do the loving thing. That's obvious. It will become obvious in the moment. You can do the loving thing by giving them space, or just speaking to them in a spacious, loving way. And that path will become clear to you. And ultimately it will result in the best result. And this isn't to say that nothing bad's ever going to happen to us once we have this clarity, right? And I put bad in quotes because like I said, when we have this highest perspective, all these bad things are ultimately working for us, right? So that's not to say nothing bad, or quote unquote bad or negative, will ever happen to us. But now we have the eternal perspective to realize that all of these things are happening for us. They happen so that you are woken up and pointed back to the path. If there's so many negative things happening to you and you're getting sick and tired of it, that's the alarm clock for you to wake up. This is the red pill. That's why you wake up when you take the red pill. And all the negative things happening around you are an alarm clock that's hopefully loud enough so that you are able to wake up. And then that perspective on it makes you realize that the negative things are working for you. They point you back to the path. When we're not living in the heart, life is exhausting. All these negative things happening to us, it's not easy to go through. It's not easy to be in a toxic relationship. It's not easy when your mind is in chaos and you have no clarity or vision for your life. You're essentially in hell, so to speak. Kind of literally, but metaphorically. So life is exhausting. Chasing satisfaction from outcomes always leaves us empty, even if there are fleeting moments of happiness. Again, I spoke about this in my last video. The pendulum swinging. That's hypnotic pendulum swinging of positive and negative, chasing outcomes. And for a moment we experience the positive, and then we're right back into the negative, experiencing that hell again. So there's only fleeting moments, and I put happiness in quotes because it's not true happiness. It's just outcome dependent happiness. And if you're tired of this, the alarm clock's getting loud, and you can no longer live in this exhausted state, you are ready to move into the heart and live with ease. Jesus said that my yoke is easy. Living in this state, living in flow, even when difficult things happen, the path is there for us. We don't have to think and wonder what we're going to do and bounce ideas back and forth in our mind. We just can live from that state of love, and it's a very easeful state of being. Now, in all things that you do, doing them from the heart will provide the highest possible outcome, as I discussed. And you will be led to the life where you do what you are designed to do. In this state of flow, you can't help but do the things that are given to you from this quantum realm. The ideas that flow to you, they will be positive because you are in a state of love. You're in the flow of abundance. And now the things that come to you are what you're supposed to be doing. And it's also going to be the most fulfilling thing. You're going to want these things. This is what you want from life. If you don't feel fulfillment and you don't know what you want, get into the state of flow, and the things that come to you will be what you're passionate about. They'll be what you're inspired to do by their nature. You will no longer be hindered by the negative thoughts and beliefs which are keeping you from doing the things you feel called to do. So if you already know what you want to do, but you can't seem to get there, you can't seem to do it. I was in the state, like I'm in this state a lot of times, when I don't know, I would know what I want to do ultimately, but I forget to get back to this spatial consciousness, this love consciousness. And the path seems so muddy. I don't know what to do next. And I ultimately feel stuck, and I get stuck, and I don't make any progress. But when I clear my mind and get to this state, everything starts to flow. This whole video is one take, basically. I stuttered like once before this, and then I re-recorded. But in the state of flow, all these words just... That alarm clock was stopping my flow. But no, I'm just kidding. But now in this state of flow, all these words flow through me, and I don't have to think about it. It just comes. And all things, and this is ultimately what I feel most passionate about. This is what I want to talk about. I feel so inspired to do this. And all things become possible when you're in this state. So this is supposed to represent the flow of abundance here. So now, rather than grinding for a future outcome, again, when I'm not in the spatial loving state, I feel like I have to grind. I'm like, I gotta go to work. I gotta, get ahead. I gotta chase outcomes in life. So now, rather than grinding for this future outcome, you live from the highest state, and inspiration flows to you, like I mentioned, and it guides each step towards the highest possible outcome. So clear the mind, feel into the heart, listen to what your emotions are pointing to about the truth. So your emotions, and people talk about the emotional guidance system. Your emotions, whether you feel anger or fear or shame or guilt, those are telling you that you're not having the highest perspective if they're negative emotions, right? So emotions are negative and positive for a reason, because this earth or life is an emanation of eternal consciousness. So it's intelligence, right? Intelligent consciousness. So the negative emotions are telling you don't have the highest perspective. So when you feel negative emotions, all you have to know is, oh, I don't have the highest perspective right now. Let me get into a state of spaciousness and love, which is the highest perspective. And that's how the negatives are alchemized into the positives. So positive emotions like love, number one being like the highest one, love, peace, joy, happiness, all the fruits of the spirit. These feel good to us because they are the highest perspective. That's the karma, right? You experience those positive things. They're telling you that they're positive. You keep going on that path. So in the clear, spacious state, the old programs have stopped working. All the negative habits that you have, the negative thought patterns, whatever the case may be, you clear your mind and you stop those things, those programs from running by giving your mind space. So when they stop working, now you have free will to choose the higher state. When in the matrix, when someone doesn't take the red pill and they're stuck in the matrix, they can become an agent at any time. essentially an NPC. That's why when you walk around life, you see people who you think maybe are NPCs. It's because they ultimately, it doesn't mean they don't have a soul or anything like that. They certainly do, but they're living through old programs. So they essentially are an NPC of sorts, a non-playable character, because the consciousness isn't aware of its existence. It's just living in unconsciousness. Again, that's hell. And that's not to judge those people. We want freedom for that. I was in this space. We want freedom for these people. And ultimately, now you have the free will to choose the higher state. When you have the spaciousness, you have the free will to choose this higher state. The only way to change the outer reality is by beginning with the inner reality, as above, so below. So this is ultimately the fastest route to what you want. And if you're looking to break free from the reality you're in and shift into this highest timeline, you can begin by having some spaciousness within yourself, clearing your mind, meditating, praying on that. And if you want to start curating your reality, you can subscribe and follow, share this with a friend, because by curating your timeline, you're effectively affirming in your second brain or your phone that you're moving towards a reality that's positive. So if you want to keep seeing stuff like this and keep being pointed towards that path, and control you want to control what goes into your mind, right? You want to control your timeline. So you can start by subscribing to this channel, or giving a follow and a like and sharing with a friend, because that'll ultimately make this feel more real to you. And I'm going to keep posting videos about this to keep pointing you guys, as well as myself. I really make this to remind myself, because we're all really one. We're all this one consciousness. So what's good for one is good for all.